All right, welcome back from that interstitial break that we had. We're getting prepped for our next run, but my name once again is Zokubun. I'm joined here at the hostess by ClockworkOphelia.
Hello, 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 everybody. I am ClockworkOphelia, and I am so happy to be here with y'all today.
Absolutely. And again, we are here. Ooh, I'm very good with the mic. We are here again in wonderful Toronto, Ontario, Canada, holding Lady Arcaders Out of Bounds Toronto. And Ufi, I hear we've got some merch going on for the event.
We do. We actually have a bunch of fantastic merch. For limited time only, you can purchase Lady Arcaders Out of Bounds Toronto merch. You can choose from a stylish t-shirt, a comfy racerback tank top, which personally I need to buy. I need that one. And your pick of 3 different spiral notebooks featuring our event trio, Sprite, Glitch, and Kate. If you haven't seen our art, it is so cute. Y'all, you need to get this. And, all 3 characters hanging out here at the Society Clubhouse. All proceeds go towards supporting events and tech for Lady Arcaders. You can check out the entire Lady Arcaders collection at tantrummerch.com/Lady Arcaders or to type !merch in chat. We appreciate your support. So please get that typing going, everybody. We want to see it.
Absolutely. And you just mentioned Society Clubhouse. That's where we're holding this event, by the way. So, if you're in Toronto, come on down to Society Clubhouse. It is a woman-owned, community-focused, multi-purpose event space in the heart of Toronto's West End. It's a hybrid space that includes a tap room, an artisan market, and an event space, which is where we are. And it is home to the best bottle shop in the city, curated by the Society of Beer Drinking Ladies, which salutes to them, featuring hard-to-find beers from breweries across Ontario. The Society Clubhouse is available to rent anytime for events like the one you are watching right now. So for more information, you can check out their website at societyclubhouse.com, or also, if you're in our chat, typing !SC in chat. Now, we just finished a run of Sonic Origins featuring Amy, but Sonic Block isn't over yet. And Ufi, we were just talking about this a little before. You actually have a little more familiarity with Sonic runs, not necessarily by choice, but a little more familiarity with Sonic runs than I do.
Yeah, I have hosted for quite a few Sonic runs. I believe I've actually hosted for the upcoming run for Snowball before. However, we're going to get into that. I want to talk about it, but I think I want to let Snowball talk about it a little bit more. So Snowball, why don't you take it away and show us this fantastic run?
All right. Hello, everyone. My name is Snowball, and this is going to be Sonic Mania, Amy, New Game Plus, and no major glitches. Amy Rose is actually a community-made character mod for Sonic Mania, but when you watch Amy play and when you actually play as Amy yourself, you would believe that she is a member of the base cast, because her moveset is completely unique and feels very, very good in this game. Since this is New Game Plus, I will be starting from an already finished save file that has all 7 Chaos Emeralds, so Super Amy will be on the table for almost every stage. I'll explain why I say almost every stage later in the run. But, going to give a quick countdown, and then we are going to be off. So, 3, 2, 1, go.
Good luck.
Thank you. So, Sonic Mania is a little collection of zones from Sonic 1, 2, CD, and 3 and Knuckles, as well as a few new unique zones to Mania. Much like Sonic 2 and Sonic 3 and Knuckles, these zones are 2 acts, as opposed to how they are in Sonic 1 and Sonic CD, where it's 3. The first act of returning zones usually plays like a mashup of the different acts from that zone's original game, whereas the Act 2 sort of has a fun little gimmick to it. Already to the first mini-boss, though. The Super Amy is able to shred these bosses thanks to invincibility, increased jump height, and increased speed. And usually with the Chaos Emeralds already in tow, it's going to be a mad dash to grab 50 rings, as you need 50 rings to activate Super State. Once you activate Super State, you are on a bit of a time limit, because every second a ring from your ring count will drop. And once you drop back to 0 rings, then Super State will deactivate. Right, back up, there we go. I managed to grab speed shoes and an invincibility monitor to sort of create a sort of pseudo Super State, but as soon as I get the 50 rings and start slowing down, then that's when I want to activate it, so that way I can keep that increased speed. This is like the Death Egg robot from Sonic 2. It's a much easier fight in Mania for 2 reasons, 3 in New Game Plus, the third obviously being Super State. But for some reason in Sonic Mania, the legs don't actually have a hurt box, so you can just like stand directly under Eggman and not take damage. But also you can go into that fight with rings, whereas when you fight it in Sonic 2, you don't have rings. Now we're coming on into Chemical Plant, the first zone from Sonic 2. Well, second zone in Sonic 2. First zone of Mania from Sonic 2. This is a pretty interesting route, because there's going to be a lot of red springs throughout the stage that try to send me to a different path. I don't want to take those paths, so I need to make sure that I'm dodging all of those. But you may have noticed I went into a little cubby in that wall to grab a big ring. Big rings in Sonic Mania take you to the special stages where you actually unlock the Chaos Emeralds. However, once you already have all 7, anytime you pick up a big ring, it'll just give you 50 rings, so you can instantly pop Super State as soon as you get a big ring. But that mini-boss is actually a little bit of a teaser for the Act 2 gimmick, which is the Flubber. There are 4 different colors of Flubber. There's dark blue, which deals damage. There's light blue, which gives you a little bounce. There is green, which gives you a big bounce. And then there's purple, which does sort of like... It's sticky and moves you around from place to place. Sort of like that little Flubber elevator raft thing there. And like this bubble. This is a stage that I actually won't be activating Super State for a little while, just because how the rings are spaced out. I don't actually need it for the boss fight, because the boss fight on this stage is a bit unusual among Sonic bosses. But I will be jumping off the ceiling, fortunately dodging the flubber bubbles there, so that way I don't take damage. Jump down. And I just realized that I did not actually explain Mii's unique moveset in this game. She has 2 major abilities of her own. There's the Heli Hammer, which you can activate once you are in the air, where she spins her hammer around and will fall slower and has a much bigger hitbox. And then there's also a hammer jump or hammer flip. I call it either. I'm constantly changing which name I'm giving it. But it gives you a ton of height to let Amy reach very high up places and cut a decent amount of time out in certain spots. But now we have the boss. This is Dr. Robotnik's Mean Bean salt-inducing Puyo machine. I'm very bad at Puyo, so while Eggman beats me up, I'm gonna just throw it over to the hosts.
Sounds great. First I gotta say, I love seeing the Super Amy sprite. It was wonderful.
It is fantastic.
You are also getting a lot of love in chat, Snowball, so chat believes in you, we believe in you. You are gonna crush this Puyo stage. But let's talk a little about Toronto Games Week, because that's what we're here for.
Yes, we are actually here with Toronto Games Week, and it is a collective coordination of events Organized independently by dozens of organizers, curators, companies, creators, and communities. If you want to get involved, volunteer, be part of an incredible coalition of community organizations and not-for-profits making it all happen. There's plenty of exciting opportunities to get hands-on and help bring the magic to life. You can find more information at torontogamesweek.com or by typing !TGW into chat.
And
How we doing over there, Snowball?
Not good. Eggman's actually trying today, which is a very rare occurrence.
I mean, Eggman, thank you for trying to give us more time to talk because,
Exactly.
yeah, we're excited about Toronto Games Week here. This is our second time partnering with Toronto Games Week.
Yeah, no, this is Out of Bounds to Toronto. Not
That's
just
very
Out of Bounds Toronto to Toronto.
But also, hey, we are part of the fantastic Toronto Games Week schedule. Is there anything that you've been excited about on our schedule?
On our schedule, I am super excited for the Yakuza run starting off tomorrow. I am a huge Yakuza fan, and I am so excited for that one. It's going to be wild.
And you know what? That sounds like a great reminder. Hey, if you are interested in being in person for that, you can still get tickets.
You can. We are selling tickets at the door. We have lots of location.
And before we throw it back to you, Snowball, I just have to let you know, I was commenting to Ufi earlier, I love that these ending screens are Amy got through Act 2. Not Act 2 completed, Amy got through Act 2.
Yeah, Amy does get through these acts, and I completely forgot how I'm supposed to start this stage. You gotta turn around because there's a red spring right behind the start that will give you enough speed to get up to the top route, and this is one of those Sonic stages where it's like, you absolutely want to be on the top route for as much of the stage as possible because bottom route is just so slow. But this is the first of Sonic Mania's unique zones, Studiopolis. And this zone's actually the reason this game happened. This was like the sort of like zone used to pitch the idea for Sonic Mania, which is super, super cool. A little unfortunate that the boss at the end of the stage is a pretty rough auto-scroller. But I am going to take a slight detour to grab that lightning shield. For the ring magnet part of the shield, there are 3 different types of elemental shields. There's lightning, there's fire, and there is a bubble. Lightning shields will prevent you from taking electricity-based damage and will have a ring magnet. Fire shield protects you from fire and lava. And the bubble shield will prevent you from drowning, which is very important for one stage. But this boss is an auto-scroller. 1, 2, 3, top, middle, bottom. For the blue missile that I will be just running into because Amy is super right now, and that will get launched back at Heavy Gunner. So far 2 3s. Well, Heavy Gunner wastes everyone's time. I'm throwing it back to the host.
We can absolutely take that for you, Snowball. And also, I just need to let you know, chat is cheering you on. Though they might be cheering Amy on, but you know what? Same difference. There's a lot of love for the hammer. So, Ufi, this isn't the only place that we can catch. I keep forgetting to not move away from Mike. This isn't the only place we can catch this event. We want to shout out our restreamers, our alternate language broadcasts. So, if you want to watch this in Japanese, you absolutely can. We've got a big thank you to Japanese Restream and also Speedruns Espanol for offering alternate language broadcasts of Out of Bounds to Rondo. The Japanese Restream is running live alongside this event. You can go check that out right now. Shoutouts to them. Minasan, arigatou gozaimasu. And while Speedruns Espanol broadcast will be airing July 25th and 26th, so you can type !Restream in chat to check out those Twitch channels and schedules.
It's called Marathon Luck when Heavy Gunner launches 4 3 missiles. I honestly don't know if I've ever seen that. happened, but you may have noticed at the end of that stage I slowed down before hitting the signpost, and that's because if you run into the signpost too quickly, it will launch the signpost up into the air and it'll spin around, and then you have to wait for it to land before the end of stage sort of score tally will begin. And that's slow, so it's actually faster to slow down and let the sign just stay grounded the whole time. But we're now in Eggman's TV studio. Amy's looking up instead of running to the side. That is perfectly fine. Given how lengthy and how bad the RNG was on that last fight, it's going to be pretty funny in contrast to how short this boss coming up is going to be. I just need to get past this sort of pinball section and then run through a few more loops, and then we are going to be fighting Eggman's weather forecast machine. It's not really much of a fight because of Amy's 1, invincibility from the Chaos Emeralds, and 2, her hammer flip. Alright, fight's over.
That was a fight?
Yep.
Oh, well.
Game. Well, the game's glitched. The capsule is supposed to drop from the top of the screen. For some reason it didn't do that. That's never happened before. Fortunately, that was on Act 2 and not Act 1, so I can just exit back to the save file and select to go into the next zone, which is Flying Battery, which is one of my personal favorites. I'm going to grab that hidden fire shield to just give myself an extra hit worth of HP and also ease of getting around these fire jets. Okay, there we go. Got to those spinning platforms at a bit of an awkward point on the cycle. I will be switching this shield out for a lightning shield, again for the ring magnet, right up here. There is one right on over here. Another thing that the lightning shield does is when there are these magnets, it will magnetize you to them, so you can run around on the ceiling. That's not really that useful, but it is just a cool little gameplay addition. I do need to be careful right up here though, because this is like the spot where you can get crushed as the magnets turn on and off. Because of those big spiky platforms that also get magnetized. They are made out of metal. Nice little quality of life change between Sonic 3 and Knuckles and Sonic Mania is these missiles on the top route here that open up paths back to back to where the boss is. Take 2 sets of missiles in Sonic and Knuckles, but in Sonic Mania it's only 1. Another sort of Super Amy gets to just cheese the fight entirely. We actually get a little bit of a sneak peek at the Act 2 gimmick here as well, which is these mountains and mountains of scrap metal and garbage. You can actually drop down and slip through those, and we're actually going to be using that to get to the bottom route, believe it or not, right on over here. And there are a few spots on the path where you have to go that way, or go through all of the scrap. But big ring right next to the path really early, so that's a free super Amy activation, nice and quick for that increased speed. Coming up is actually one of the more frightening areas of the run. This outside area has plenty of things that can just get a crush kill on you if you are not careful. That went really fast though. And also that area is over a bottomless pit, which is not ideal to fall into. if I had timed the jump out of that spin dash a little bit better, I would have been able to sneak through the gap between that little claw and the spikes, and it would have been great. But again, over a bottomless pit, so I need to be a little bit careful not to fall down there. And this is actually where the no major glitches and glitched route heavily diverge from one another. Because when I was outside the flying battery just a moment ago, running on the ceiling, there is a very small window of time where you can jump off of the ceiling and use Amy's helihammer to effectively screen wrap and just skip this fight entirely, because while the game makes you think that the animal capsule at the end of the stage is above us because this elevator for the boss fight is going up, it's actually below us because of just the way screen wrapping and whatnot works in Sonic games. So you can actually jump off the ceiling of the bottom of the flying battery, helihammer around, and get to the end of the stage without having to fight that very annoying spider robot. It is an incredibly tight window though, so it's also a much scarier route, at least in my opinion. But now we are into the second of Sonic Mania's unique zones, Press Garden. Unfortunately, I say unfortunately not because of the stage itself, but because of the lack of others. Act 2 is the only, like, snow and ice level, which is a little bit disappointing to me personally, because I'm a big fan of Ice Cap from Sonic 3. But on that note, I always forget when I'm introducing the elemental shield. Whoops. I always forget to... Amy, get off the conveyor belt. Thank you. I always forget to comment on one extra sort of feature that the fire shield has, and that is, if you have a fire shield, you are immune to getting frozen. And that will be important for the next stage. Fortunately, that feature shuts off when you activate Super State, so that way you can't effectively soft lock yourself until your ring count drops to 0 and Super State deactivates. But it is a nice little thing to just speed things up, because there's a lot of areas where the game wants to freeze you in a block of ice, but Amy doesn't really want to do that. Coming up here... There we go. That skip is one of the hardest in the run, at least in my opinion. So, getting that very smoothly and quickly, I am always happy about. So we are coming up very shortly to the boss. I did go off the track a little bit back there to grab a fire shield for the next stage. And because of that, after this boss has been destroyed, we are going to get to witness the glory of moonwalking Amy. So I'm going to just use Super Amy's increased jump height to sneak into this little cubby with the boss. Spin dash over here, and then as soon as the tally is, the end of stage score tally is done, Amy is going to moonwalk into Act 2. There she goes. Alright, now we are into Act 2, which is going to be the home of the second of the 4 hard-boiled heavies that we fight, Heavy Shinobi. And... Alright, lost the fire shield. That is perfectly fine because I got past the part that I needed for. I needed for that sort of opening segment of the stage. I do need to be a little bit careful up here to make sure that I don't take damage until I grab just a few more rings. Now we need just one. Activate Super. Grab this ring monitor, and there's a spring hidden underneath it. Up here, and this is where time loss can happen on this stage. Alright, nice. If my jump had been angled poorly when I got frozen, I would not have been able to smoothly slide around onto this route, and I would have had to take a different, much slower route. But fortunately, that went exactly how I wanted it. And should be one more set of hits. Nope. Must have missed one. There we go. Now we are going to be going to the past for the first Sonic CD stage. Stardust Speedway. Also my worst stage, so hopefully this goes well. Stardust Speedway is a very hazard-heavy stage. There are lots of fireflies and spikes and other precarious things that want to blow up your ring count, and that's never ideal. This stage isn't like that big of a deal if I lose my rings and can't go super at any point. It just slows things down a little bit and makes the boss fight infinitely more annoying. Because the boss is a giant one of these fireflies that keeps chasing after me, trying to shoot jets of fire. I don't fall down the hole, thank you, Amy. Jump up here. I need 2 more rings. There we go. Activate Super State right out of that booster. We are coming up to the boss very shortly. Jumped a little too early there, which is fine. One more tunnel right here. Takes us straight to the boss. Giant firefly robot. Going to try to grab 2 hits as it leaves. Then just smaller fireflies will pop up, and I have to get rid of those. I found out in setup that if I spam jump after getting rid of those 2 fireflies, the big one won't spawn until I stop spamming my jumps. So don't jump at any point during that fight unless it's for a hit. But now we're going to the future, returning to the past, or the present, for Act 2. And this is one where I am going to try to not get hit at any point and not activate Super State until the boss arena, and for some reason I just decided not to jump there. Let's try that again. Spin dash, jump, helihammer, through the tunnel. There we go. That's what was supposed to happen. I just kind of forgot to hit the jump button for some reason. But now we are on the... I don't know if this is the top route or a middle route, but it's one of the higher up routes, and it's definitely the one that we want to be on. There is a just regular shield right up here that I like to grab just for an extra little bit of safety. Neutral through this tunnel to maintain speed. Around the loop. Helihammer over the pit. And now we have the true rivalry that started in Sonic CD. Amy Rose versus Metal Sonic. This is one of the coolest boss fights in the game. And also one of the longest. This is a 3-phase boss fight. That is going to start with a typical Metal Sonic Stardust Speedway race. And then, I don't really know what he's doing in phase 2, aside from losing very badly. He's gonna try to shoot orbs of energy and launch little robot Silver Sonics. But we can just sort of stand in the corner. And there's not really anything he can do about that. When the Silver Sonics sort of spin dash and are in the air, you can jump into them to knock them into the sort of like cage that Metal Sonic is in to deal 2 hits worth of damage instead of 1. I'm really bad at aiming that though, so I don't do that. I usually still try it when the opportunity presents itself, but the opportunity didn't really present itself that time. Now for phase 3, we've got a callback to Knuckles Chaotix with Metal Sonic Kai. This is actually a difficult phase if you don't have Super State. If you do have Super State, it's walking into it many times and making sure that you don't go too far and slip off the stage as it's falling away. And now we are going to be moving on to Hydro City. I personally pronounce it Hydro City, but that's just because it's easier for me to say. But I know that this stage has a lot of debate surrounding it, whether it's called Hydro City or Hydrocity.
Remember last time I asked you what you called it? You said, I'm not answering that question.
I usually don't, but for commentary purposes, I kind of have to. I find it very funny. One of the like series directors for the Sonic franchise was asked apparently a while back in an interview how it's pronounced, and his response was something along the lines of English is not his native language. So just completely dodging the question, which honestly, given how long running the Hydro City, Hydrocity debate is, that is the perfect answer. And also just how funny it is. But this is the stage where we utilize the Bubble Shield's drowning prevention mechanic. That feature is active even when you are in Super State, much like the ring magnet. Also, I really don't know what Eggman was doing with this fight. This was not one of his best ideas, because he's scuba diving with explosives. For one thing, that's not a good idea. But then he also left his Eggmobile completely unattended. It would be a shame if a certain little pink hedgehog just stole his Eggmobile and blew him up with it. But yeah, it's just parked over here. Don't know why. This is actually a reverse of the Act 2 fight in Hydro City in 3 Knuckles, where you're in the water and Eggman is using the propeller on the bottom of the Eggmobile to create huge columns of water to pull you up to it. So now Eggman gets a taste of his own medicine, and there he goes. Now we got Act 2, which is one of my favorite levels to speedrun, specifically because it was actually the first level in this game that I learned how to run. But there are 2 sort of like large sections of the stage that are like figure 8. Those are suggestions. The game wants you to go top left, bottom right, top right, bottom left. But what if we just skipped all of that? As long as I don't get hit twice and lose all my rings, yeah, that will be skipped. If I do get hit once, that's not that big of a deal because there is another bubble shield later in the stage that can be utilized as sort of a backup. But grab these rings here, jump up here. I was supposed to spin dash there, but with a nice little hammer flip, I can grab those rings. Grab those and activate super. Here's the first of the figure 8. But super state speed increase plus Heli Hammer equals don't play the stage. And we're gonna pretty much be doing that exact same thing again. Actually, no, it's not the exact same thing because we don't actually use the Heli Hammer. These slides, if you're moving fast enough, you can actually jump through them because I think they're like single-sided pieces of geometry. I don't know exactly how it works, but yeah, we're skipping that. And we're pretty much already to the boss. This is actually one of Eggman's better ideas if the super state wasn't a thing. Because you can only damage Eggman here with mines. The catch for Eggman is Super Amy is also a mine. So I can just position her up against these spike blocks, not take damage because I'm invincible, and blow up Eggman's thing with ease. And now for the second phase of this fight, we actually have a callback to the Act 1 fight from 3 and Knuckles. Uh-oh. Well, that's a little bit of time lost. Got a little too hasty on those jumps. And now I'm going to jump over here to land on sort of an invisible piece of collision. Because you can't actually skip this cutscene. So, positioning Amy there will let her slide down that quarter pipe, get hit by the jet of water up the other one, and not really have to walk out the door at all. This is Mirage Saloon, the third of the Mania unique stages, and unfortunately it is a flame-level auto-scroller, so we're gonna be here for a bit, so hosts, take it away.
Well, I don't know. I'm honestly just so excited watching this. I love hosting for you, Snowball, and every time I get to see Amy doing anything makes me a happy day. So thank you so much for running here, and thank you so much for being out for Out of Bounds Toronto too.
You know what? I'm going to take this in the opposite direction. No thank you for constantly using Super Amy, because the music in this game is fantastic, but Super Amy overrides it every single time.
I was gonna say, Zoki, you can't say no thank you, but you know what? You made a valid point. There is very awesome music in this game, so I will give you that one.
But also, thank you for bringing this to Out of Bounds Toronto, because I was seeing some love in chat for the press garden music earlier, and I like the music for Starlight, so this this has been a jam to watch.
And Amy's just jamming out on top of the plane. I love it.
Valid. And also, like, I just want to shout out, unfortunately, chat cannot really see it, but we've got some Sonic love at the runner station. Mm-hmm. We've got a little Sonic squishy there, and also Snowballs, you brought an Amy plush, so I love seeing that combination both on screen and staring at those at the runner desk. It's just really bringing the game to life for me.
We need the luck.
Oh, thank you for showing Amy off.
Thank you.
Yes. Wait, have we had an automobile in this game so far? Because we've had planes and trains now.
I don't think we've had an automobile yet.
Sonic will be driving kind of a car, question mark, to help Amy get away from after she blows up Eggman's final thing. I don't know if you can really call it a car, though. On the topic of the super music, there is actually a way with the mod loader, I believe, and also I think there's also a debug code or something like that that you can use after you've beaten the game with Sonic, which I have not done. That
Fair, because Amy is a better character.
Exactly. That does actually let you shut the super music off. Except for one place. There is one spot of this run where even if you have the super music turned off, it will still play, and that is the third to last stage, which is Metallic Madness Act 2. The way that stage's sort of unique mechanic works, for some reason it doesn't let that really happen. I don't know why. Alright, Act 2. An actual stage. This is good. Also, I always feel like I'm going a different way on this stage, but fortunately, pretty much every route is the exact same amount of time. Gonna just knock that guy away so that way I don't take any unwanted damage. Grab 2 rings from this loop and off we go. This stage, the boss has actually a really cool callback to some classic era Sonic characters. But one of them actually did appear in a 2D Sonic game very recently in Sonic Superstars. Shoutouts to that game. That game is awesome. But we are going to be fighting against the third of the hard-boiled heavy magician, who will be turning into illusions of the, I don't know exactly what their team is called. I think they're like the Hooligans or something like that. Fang, Bean, and Bark. The way this is going to work is for the Fang and the Bean cycles, I am going to get 1 hit and then back off and then hit 2 more, because every time Heavy Magician gets hit twice, she'll go back in the box and transform into a different character, and that's just slightly slower. But then with Bark, since she's already taken 6 hits, I can just full aggress. And there we go. Now we're coming up to what to my understanding, it's a bit of a controversial stage. I personally really, really like it. We got Oil Ocean. This is a very nostalgic stage for me because of just like early memories of when I was very little playing Sonic 2 with my older sister and my dad on the Sega Genesis. This was a zone that really, really stood out to me. So I'm very, very happy that it returns for Sonic Mania. And also the Act 2 gimmick functions very similarly to an Act 2 gimmick for Sandopolis Zone from Sonic & Knuckles, which is my favorite 2D Sonic zone in any of the games. So I am always happy for a stage that'll play like that. This is not the normal route, so I'm gonna just hold right and let Amy take the wheel. Fortunately, I am exactly where I need to be at, like pretty much the exact same time that I need to be here. Now we're gonna beat up Bob the Builder. Alright, fight's over. And now Amy has blown up an oil rig, which is probably not an ideal circumstance. But this smog is the gimmick of Act 2. The smog, after a certain amount of time, will begin draining Amy's ring as if she were super, but of course without the positive effects of it. However, these switches hanging from the ceiling will clear the smog out for a certain amount of time. That is incredibly similar to how the lights dimming works in Sandopolis Act 2 from Sonic 3 and Knuckles. Those switches will turn the lights back on, and the longer you go, there will be more hazards, those being the ghosts that grow in power when the lights are off. So it's not the exact same as the smog with the ring drain, but it is a very real punishment for leaving things unattended for too long. Fortunately, though, you don't really have to worry about that once Super State is activated, because the ring drain from the smog and the Super State don't stack. And also, even if they did, the smog shuts off in the boss arena, and this boss fight is really quick. And it does take a while for the smog to actually start draining the rings. I need to be a little bit careful there, so that way I don't fall through the oil and have to start back from the checkpoint, because then I'd have to do this fight without super, and that's much slower. And actually, like, I'd have to dodge the hazards, which I don't really want to do. I want to just sit here and watch Amy rock back and forth. There we go. You know, we only have 6 stages left, 3 zones. Next up is Lava Reef, which has a cool little thing in between Act 1 and 2 that I will show off just for fun. It's mostly a thing for Act 2, but it happens in between Act 1 and 2. So I need to remember to actually do that. I don't know why I jumped there. I want to grab these rings though, because I will be going off the track briefly for a bunch of rings right up here. Because I do want Super State as early as possible, because this is a very long and clunky stage with a lot of hazards. So having that invincibility and increased speed will save an enormous amount of time right from the get-go. I'm going to wind around. This is pretty much just running back and forth through tunnels and around spikes and stuff and lava for a little bit, so I think now's actually a pretty good time for any messages from the hosts.
You know what? We are both just jaw-dropping at this at this display of speed from you, Snowball. So we were caught a little off guard. But again, we are here at Lady Arcaders Out of Bounds in Toronto, and we are celebrating our second in-person Women and Femme gaming event in participation with Toronto Game Week 2025. Now, if you're just tuning in, hey, welcome on. Thank you for joining us here at Lady Arcaders on twitch.tv or in person. Crowd, can I get a little cheer for yourselves? Yeah, you're awesome. Thank you so much. And come join us here at Lady Arcaders, because we're all women's gaming collective. We run weekly showcases and the occasional charity event. That will be coming up later this year. We strive to uplift and encourage women in their gaming endeavors by cultivating a supportive environment in which to showcase their talents. And if you want to keep up with our events, whether it's the one you're watching right now or any coming up in the future, join our public Discord to get updates on those. Type !Discord in chat for a link, or hey, if you're here in person, I'm sure we have a QR code over at the info booth. And Luffy, hey, how has your time here at Lady Arcaders been so far, I want to ask?
Honestly, Lady Arcaders has been one of the most amazing things that I've joined. I love a lot of the stuff that we do, specifically a track mode, which is one of our showcases we do throughout the year for showcasing women's talent. It's absolutely fantastic, and if you are an arcader, please submit. We want to showcase you. We want to see your talent.
Yeah, and it doesn't have to be a speed run. We're doing speed runs here, but we've also got non-speed run showcases. We just love video games here at Lady Arcaders.
That we do.
You've done like a fashion showcase before, haven't you?
Yeah, we've done so many different types of video game type showcases. If you want to bake a video game related pie or a cake or cookies, please show it to us. We want to see it.
Absolutely. How are we doing, by the way, Snowball? Would you like us to keep on going, or?
All right, there we go. I was trying to click the pause button to skip that stage transition at a very specific point of that elevator. As the screen dim started to fade, this is Lights Out Lava Reef. Usually, it's not just the crystals and the lava that are lit up. Usually, there's a lot more light on this stage. But if you time skipping the stage transition at the correct time, then it will shut the lights off, and it's really, really pretty. I love playing the stage like this. Also, iframes on the hammer flip, I don't fully understand those. There is at least one other stage that has a lights out, Um, sort of, I guess you could call it form, but I don't fully understand the frame window for when to actually activate it. It's the last stage. Also, I would not dare try that right now, even if I did know the frame window, because I've never done it before, and also that stage is really hard, even with the lights on, even with Super Stage. So, unfortunately, the lights will turn back on for the boss fight, because there is another sort of stage transition-like sequence into the boss arena. Amy, you were supposed to hammer flip. That was actually on me, but Amy, you were supposed to hammer flip. Now we've got the fourth and final of the hard-boiled heavies. We've got Heavy Rider. This fight's really annoying, because it just is. Mainly because the Motobug can just do that, and that's not efficient for speedrun purposes. No, where's the capsule going to be? There we go. Alright, 4 stages remain. 2 more zones. We are finally returning to Sonic CD for Metallic Madness. This is a stage that I definitely want to stay on the top route as much as possible, just because of how much faster the top route is. This stage, even though it's a Sonic CD original zone, this is actually the only stage with a boss that returns from Sonic 1. If you caught the Sonic 1 in Origins run right before this one, and saw the final zone boss fight, Eggman took that machine and updated it a little bit. Honestly, I don't know why he implemented those updates to his machine though, because he made it easier for Sonic, and in this case also Amy, because I don't know why he did that, but there's now a, well, that's unfortunate. There's now a 5th piston, and 2 pistons that are directly adjacent to one another cannot fire at the same time, so there will always be a gap that you can get between to sort of help more efficiently and consistently get hits without having to worry about getting crushed or just being completely unable to reach Eggman for that cycle. The trade-off is the energy balls that the machine launches in between cycles. Those now have homing on them, so gotta be a little bit careful. This is also the boss where we learn how to count to 4, because it's 4 hits for the first phase. And then we really learn how to count to 4 with the second phase, when Eggman goes into the desperation phase for the final zone boss. 1, 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, and 4. Every 4 piston fires on that phase, Eggman will be in one, and much like the first phase, 2 pistons that are directly adjacent to one another cannot fire back to back. So there will always be a gap. I realized that I never mentioned it back when we were at Mirage Saloon, but I will mention it now. You may have noticed that I did not activate Super State on Mirage Saloon Act 1 or Metallic Madness Act 1. That's mostly because of the slidiness that comes with Super Amy's increased speed. For one thing, on Mirage Saloon Act 1, you can fall off of the plane in Super State. I have done it before, so I decided I'm never doing that again. And it's a lot easier to get crush killed fighting the final zone boss while in Super State. And the homing energy shots aren't really that threatening, so... And also with as many rings as you usually have going into that boss, you can usually take a few hits. But this is the stage where, even if you have the super music turned off, the super music will still play, and I think it's because of... I'm going to assume it's some way with how the stage mechanic of Chibi Amy works, because we do activate Super State while we are Chibi-ing. But that is the stage gimmick. Red lasers turn you into Chibi-ing, and the blue lasers make her big again. This fight actually has another classic era Sonic callback, but only with Amy. Because these capsules will have bosses, mini versions of the bosses from Emerald Hill and Marble, from Sonic 2 and Sonic 1. But there were also a couple little dolls of the character Honey the Cat. These dolls are normally actually Amy dolls for all of the other characters, but since we're playing as Amy, those get switched to Honey, and I wish Sega would do more with, do anything with Honey. I think that her design is super, super cool, and she's just a really fun character. But she has not been seen in a very long time. You know what, for fun, I'll let this cutscene play out because it's very, very cool. We have one zone left. That's the zone over there. We're going to be headed to Titanic Monarch, the fourth and final of Sonic Mania's unique zones, and also my personal favorite in this game. Both acts are really, really cool and feel like just perfect conclusions to this game. This stage has a handful of gimmicks. Most notably, there are these like purple sort of energy orbs that I don't know how to explain them. They're like gravity bubbles. You get to like, you know, I'll just let Amy do the explaining on these because it's very hard to describe. Another fun little mechanic is these little rocket cars driven by these crash test dummies. I will not be activating Super State just yet, just in case I need to cancel any downward momentum. Yeah, these are what the energy orbs do. You get to sort of just like orbit around them and then launch in whatever direction you're going in when you decide to launch. Those are going to be very heavily used in Act 2. I do need to be a little bit careful coming up here because at the top of this section there is a spot that is really easy to get crush killed. And I do not want to fight this boss on this stage without Super State. Alright, there we go. Should be in the clear up until the boss now. Go into this tunnel over here. This is just way faster. And then there's going to be a pretty tall tower sort of section over here that Amy just has to climb up. Those bumpers, usually you can't just hold to the side and hit them again, but the increased speed from Super Amy lets her cancel the leftward momentum and just bounce right back into the bumpers again. This is Crimson Eye, Guardian of the Elevator. This is a really annoying fight without Super State, because every time in the first phase you hit Crimson Eye, one of those bubbles will pop and shoot a bunch of spikes. So it's pretty much just damage boost for like 45 seconds. And that's not really fun for that specific fight. There are some fights that's honestly really funny to do. But that fight is just kind of tedious and annoying. Where's the spring? There we go. This is the final stage, Titanic Monarch Act 2. This stage is sort of broken into 5 different rooms. There's that first room, and then there's top left, bottom left. That's not good. Top right and bottom right. I want to do this bottom left room first because each of the rooms have a secret exit that take you to a little sort of effectively like a heal-up room. There will be a monitor for 10 rings, and there will also be a monitor for a specific type of shield. And the shield monitor for this specific room is a lightning shield. And the ring magnet is very, very important to have on this stage because of how long it is, and how many hazards are just sprinkled throughout the stage everywhere. Also, in my opinion, this stage has the best sort of zone music in all of Sonic Mania. I do need to be a little bit careful here, though, because you can very easily get crush killed. Alright, there we go. There's, I think, one more spot that I can get crush killed that I need to be careful of, and once I'm sort of past that area, everything should be in the clear. That's also right up here. When those platforms are all the way up, if you are directly under those sets of spikes on the ceiling, you will just get destroyed. This might also be the longest room. I'm not 100% sure if that one's longer than the bottom right. Also, the first one's pretty long, too. I guess this one is the one that I know is not the longest, because this one's really short. Land on those spikes, jump up, and then it's just sort of shenanigans with these orbs. Increased height from super lets me just skip going into one of the crash test demo cars. On the left side of the stage to get me over to that red spring, which takes me up to the top. Now there is one more room before the final boss. The final boss is one of my favorite moments in any Sonic speedrun that I do, both because of the boss itself, but also the music is amazing. Jump there to avoid a pop-up yellow spring. Jump off the ceiling to avoid pop-up yellow spring. Hammer flip around the loop. Hammer flip. Jump off that slope. Grab that ring monitor. And here we go. Eggman has put himself in a Pokeball that is powered by the Phantom Ruby. So we need to stop him. Time is going to be once I hit Eggman for the 16th time. This is a bit of a lengthy fight even with Super, because most of the time he's got a shield up that prevents him from taking damage. Alright, that's 5 hits. Every 4 hits, one of these arms will break. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay. Now we are going to be saying hello to Heavy Gunner again. I don't want to say hello to Heavy Gunner again because he gave me 4 3 missiles this round. So I'm going to just send all of these missiles back at him. Usually I just like run around and wait for the missiles to explode. Nah, I'm fighting back this time. I'm still salty about Studiopolis. Alright, 2 more hits to go, and then that will be the run. I'll launch some missiles, jump around again, and time. That was Amy Mania. Sonic is in the car to help Amy get away as this whole thing explodes. And cool little thing about this mod, Amy actually got edited into the end of game cutscene. I'm very happy that the cutscene's playing because every once in a great while, the cutscene won't play and the game will just crash. But there she is, Amy in the cutscene. Gonna give a few real quick shout-outs. Shout-outs to Lady Arcaders for having me and letting me show off this run. This is a really, really important category to me, as this was actually my first ever Sonic anything speedrun that I learned how to do. So I'm very, very happy that I got to show it off today. Shout-outs to Troop Sushi and Codename Gamma for creating the Amy Mania mod. It plays so, so, so well, and I am always happy to speedrun Amy Rose in as many things as I can. Shout-outs to all of my Sonic friends, Callie Macken, Virtual Cat, Flame Dragon, and so many more. Shout-outs to all my friends at FPE. And real quick shameless plug, you can find me on Twitch, on YouTube, and on Blue Sky at SnowballSMB. I like to play Sonic, I like to play Super Monkey Ball, I like to play Pokemon, occasionally indie games, and I've also been doing a fair amount of Mario Kart World recently. But yeah, once again, thank you so, so much to Lady Arcaders for having me. This was a ton of fun.
Thank you for performing this for us.
Thank you so much.
And of course, I would be remiss to mention that, hey, if you want to see more Snowball, along with making sure you follow her on those socials, stick around because we might get a surprise appearance from Snowball just later today even. And with that, we are going to throw it over to a quick break. Now's a great time to get stretched, get your hydration in, get your snacks, because we've got some more fantastic gameplay coming up for you all.